Nurabad was a city where narrow streets held wide secrets, where the old buildings leaned together like they were whispering about the people who passed beneath them. To an outsider it looked peaceful, but to those who had lived here long enough, the silence always felt heavy, like something dangerous was waiting just out of sight. Aram had lived here all his life, in a small apartment above his late father's dusty old bookshop. Since his father's sudden death 2 years ago, the shop had been more of a memory than a business. His father had been a quiet man, observant, someone who noticed more than he said, and Aram had inherited the same habit. Most days he simply walked the streets, watching, listening, piecing together the small mysteries of his city without ever expecting to be part of one. But everything changed on a rainy afternoon when he passed the old bakery and overheard two men speaking in urgent whispers. "It's not time yet," one said. "The letter will reach him tomorrow, and after that there's no turning back," the other replied. Their eyes flicked toward him for a fraction of a second before they turned away and fell silent. The words clung to Aram's mind like wet cloth. That night he tried to sleep, but the conversation kept replaying. Who was him? What was in the letter? The answer came faster than he expected. The next morning a knock on his door brought a young post boy holding an unmarked envelope. On the front there was no name, only a black crescent with 3 dots beneath it. Inside was a single-type message. "Your father's death was no accident. Stop digging, or you'll end up like him." Aram's hands trembled. His father had supposedly died of a heart attack. The doctor's report had been clear, but now doubt began to creep into his thoughts. He needed answers, and the first person who came to mind was Abdul Rauf, his father's closest friend, who ran a stationery shop in the main bazaar. When Aram showed him the envelope, Rauf's face tightened. He locked the shop door and leaned in. "Your father was involved with people you don't want to know about. He wanted out, but they wouldn't let him go. Please, Aram, leave this alone." Aram refused to back down, and after a long silence Rauf reluctantly slipped him a folded piece of paper. "If you must know, follow this map. But once you start, you can't turn back." The map led him to the city's industrial district, a place of abandoned factories and silent warehouses. One building in particular caught his eye, its windows boarded up, but with a thin slit in one wall, just big enough to see through. Inside, a group of men sat around a table. Aram recognized them instantly. The mayor, the police inspector, the imam of the largest mosque. These were men known for their charity, their respectability. He listened carefully. "The next shipment arrives in 3 days," the mayor said. "And the boy?" asked the inspector. "If he keeps digging, he'll disappear. Like his father," the mayor replied. A chill ran down Aram's spine. He hurried away, keeping to the shadows, his mind burning with the realization that his father had been caught in something far more dangerous than he had imagined. That night, searching through his father's old desk, Aram discovered a hidden compartment containing a worn leather notebook. Inside were cryptic entries, dates, initials, amounts of money. But the final page stopped him cold. "The truth lies beneath the lies they built. If I fall, Aram must know." The next evening, when Aram returned to his apartment, the door was ajar. Inside, drawers were overturned, papers scattered, and the notebook was gone. They had found out he was looking. Determined not to stop, Aram studied the map from Rauf again. The last mark was an old abandoned cinema on the outskirts of the city. The building was decaying, its posters faded to ghosts of colors, the air inside heavy with dust. Exploring the interior, he found a staircase leading to a locked basement. The padlock was new, but the door was old. Using a metal rod, he broke it open. Inside were boxes filled with documents, photographs, and tape recordings. One folder bore his father's name. The photographs showed his father with the same men from the warehouse, shaking hands, signing papers, passing envelopes. In one picture his father looked straight at the camera, eyes tense, as if he knew someone was watching. Among the items was a cassette tape labeled The Truth. Aram found a dusty recorder, placed the tape inside, and pressed play. His father's voice came through, crackling but clear. "If you're hearing this, Aram, I'm gone. These men run Nurabad from the shadows. They control the mayor, the police, the mosque. They use charity as a mask for drugs, weapons, and human trafficking. I was part of it once, but when I tried to stop, they killed me. I hid the records, real names, transactions, dates, beneath the old city well. Bring them to the press, not the police. Trust no one, not even. The tape cut off abruptly. Before Aram could process the message, he heard footsteps above. A moment later, the police inspector entered the basement, a flashlight beam sweeping across the room. Aram, he said in a calm voice, you've been looking in the wrong places. Come with me, and we can make a deal. His words dripped with false friendliness. Your father died because he didn't listen. Don't make the same mistake. Aram's grip tightened around the metal rod. In a sudden movement, he swung it, knocking the flashlight from the inspector's hand. Darkness filled the room, and Aram ran, clutching the cassette in his pocket, his breath sharp and fast until he burst into the open air. At dawn, he went to Ralph and played the tape. Ralph listened silently, then whispered, the well, that's where they'll never think to look. They went together to the dried-up well on the edge of Nurabad. Hidden behind a loose stone in the wall was a waterproof tin box. Inside were ledgers, photographs, signed contracts, and more recordings, evidence that would destroy the syndicate's control. That same day, Aram took the box to a journalist in Karachi, far from Nurabad's reach. Within days, the evidence was on national news. The mayor and police inspector were arrested. The imam fled the city, but was caught weeks later. Nurabad reeled in shock, struggling to reconcile the image of public saints with the monsters they had been. Ralph warned Aram that even with the arrests, danger still lurked. They have allies, he said quietly, but you've pulled the mask from their faces. That's something they can't undo. For the first time since his father's death, Aram felt the air in Nurabad grow lighter. The truth was no longer buried beneath lies, and though shadows would always remain in some corners of the city, the people could finally see what had been hiding in the dark.